we got a good old egg.
Goose egg.
I think we've got 3 to 4. It's a bit more than that. I forgot over the last event, but at the Western Clash #1.
Last event was 4 games.
4 games, and it was 2 at the Western, if even.
I don't think we won a game at first Western Clash.
We'll just forget about it. I didn't bring it up.
Game 2 between 2 NA teams, Even and Death and Team Freedom.
Hey.
Team Freedom takes us to Towers of Doom. This is just another day at the office for Team Freedom. They're like, okay, Sky Temple, check. After that, where do we move? We go to Towers of Doom. We'll give that a check mark too, and continue on. Continue forward. It's just like, we're just going to win this game. We do the things. We rotate where we need to rotate. We win the game when we can. And that happened to be 12 minutes in Sky Temple. It may be a little bit longer here on Towers of Doom, at least.
If anybody's going to make Towers of Doom the short map, though, it's got to be Team Freedom versus Even and Death here. You know, let's be real here. Considering the disadvantage when it comes to natural skill, the strength of Team Freedom, and being on their second best map, they've had surprisingly short games in the past against on Towers of Doom. So I'm willing to, you know, kind of see how quickly they're willing to open this one up. If there's going to be a moment for Even and Death to hold their own and not let this game get out of control levels 1 through 9, it's going to be over the first Sappers. You can probably expect Freedom will invade. And when that happens, if they can't hold their own, they're going to have a bad time.
Game 2. In this best of 5, Team Freedom getting a quick victory in Game 1 as we get ready for Towers of Doom. First pick, first ban, over to Even and Death, and they'll take away Abathur.
Abathur has been removed.
Tess.
You know, ETC being banned out.
By Freedom.
Showing that nobody wants to deal with the cow. He's even too impressive for even Freedom to be willing to let Even and Death get it.
I see that too, and because of the role swap, the changing of the guard, the flexing that we saw in the last game for Even and Death, Freedom has not been making those kinds of changes. So I feel like of the two teams who has probably the wider hero pool, it's got to be Zugrug, as Even and Death are still working on those role changes. So it makes sense that Freedom still be willing to ban ETC here.
Not surprised to see that, nor am I surprised to see Even and Death pick themselves up at Dahaka. It's going to allow that side roll. We talked about the conundrum of the side roll, who's going to be on it. At least it's a warrior or the Malthael situation, to where they don't have to go the awkward, are we going to get ourselves a melee assassin? Can we even get ourselves a melee assassin? So that's nice here for Even and Death.
Is it Medivh?
I kind of hope not, but that's just as like a... So let's go with the dominant mentality and further that a little bit more. So game 1 was you start the first game and just go, can we win this effectively clean? They did 12 minutes on a shutout, right? So that is exactly. So step 2 is you take them to equally comfortable and you test draft next, right? And you get a little bit wild with the draft. The Lili, again, that wasn't as crazy in the last one. So now you want to venture and get a little bit weird here, hopefully in the second half. And then you go, we need to be equally as dominant, but with a less dominant draft. Right, that's step 2 to be able to further those advances, and essentially, I mean, just building a bigger opponent here for Freedom.
Even and Death have Garrosh and Uther.
Pretty big opponents.
And Dahaka, yeah. A lot of possibilities for picks now for Even and Death versus Team Freedom. Something that they didn't have as much of in the last game. They had Malthael, they had Lunara, but it was a lot more sustainable, and unfortunately for them, they just couldn't cut through the healing of Team Freedom.
I really appreciate the Dahaka Garrosh if you are in the first pick position here, because then it makes that Malthael ban like that much more incentivized, right, to Even and Death, because now you're not only deterring the Garrosh counter, but you're also deterring the Dahaka laning mismatch. It's a 2-for-1, you know, nice little value there over the secondary ban.
You know what's cool though for Team Freedom is they have not shown any Malthael games, and just the fact alone that even if they can play it, they haven't had to show any yet, can make teams question enough that they might be able to work out a ban like that. I
do want to raise a bit of a concern towards the fact that they haven't displayed that as well. Not so much for the series, but just for Freedom, and the idea of Freedom is probably going to be one of our international representatives. It's looking like it so far. They also displayed a bit of stubbornness, if you will. We'll call it more the Freedom play style that they earned their name for in the North American scene, and not until they struggled internationally were they willing to change that. Not necessarily something that I would say is a positive thing to do. That Malthael, he is here. He is internationally played. There is no question, is Malthael good? Yes. Every team needs to be able to play him if you are going to be one of the best internationally. So I'm a bit more concerned that they aren't comfortable using that in a North American scene. Like, yeah, this is the Malthael game, because you can't say not knowing how to play Malthael is a useful tool.
Yeah, I was saying more like a forcing bans kind of thing is more of the useful tool. I would say, in general, not knowing how to play a very meta-style hero is never going to be a useful tool.
I'm just putting the scope towards North America. I'm saying that Team Freedom needs to start playing Malthael in North America. It's going to be beneficial. If
they can and are never forced to play and they're still able to win without showing that matchup, is that not a good thing for them?
I don't know. You could argue this. I'd be willing to say the fact that I could flex having it is more of a scary situation than keeping it in my back pocket. But I mean, that's
yeah,
really
like
comes down to who's the strategic guy on the team and what do they decide they're going with.
All right. It is not like it's a niche strategy. While we've been talking and
we got a niche strategy.
Strategizing about Malthael, Medivh did come out for Team Freedom and the Stitches. Zugrug Stitches returns, Genji Falstad, the final 2 picks for Even to Death. This is a comp, unlike the last comp, that can get some kills.
It really can. It's got a lot of really cool things here for Even to Death. Far better odds for them here than the last one, but they're also dealing with Dansky, and he's going to be on the Medivh, denying a lot of kills. He's really, really good at it. Like, maybe one of the best when it comes to saving allies randomly all over the map. So Even in Death need to make sure they're proper with those rotations here. Before for Freedom's last pick, some kind of probably secondary warrior would be reasonable, and Arthas wouldn't be completely out of the realm. But I don't think you have to. Solo Stitches with this milk carton kind of strategy is totally okay. It's one of the few times you can kind of get away with that. But just the Arthas synergizes pretty well with Medivh and the Death Ball and having follow-up synergy.
I think it's going to be Arthas D.Va or Illidan.
I want Illidan just to get a little bit weird. Leo!
Nice! I forgot all about the new Leo.
We get ourselves some new Leo.
Finally. It was all over the place in Europe. We had to wait until Game 2 of Series 2 the whole weekend just to get him.
I mean, it's 7 games, and then now we just got him, and it was last pick. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. A strange alternative to a very highly picked, highly banned Leoric in Europe.
Isn't it amazing how that happens? Absolutely astounding how there can be such a difference between interpretation on how to approach the game. But Freedom, at least they're taking a bit of a note out of the European scene with the Leo. I'm ready to see what I can make happen. We did get to see a couple of versions from EU, but maybe North American approach is completely different. Who knows? And how they're going to be able to play out the map.
As a reminder, there is no more Royal Focus at level 4 to go back and forth and split soak between the two. So poor Dread here you'll have to just get by.
That's all I asked of Leos. And I think we got like 2 or 3.
We did have a couple.
On the last day possible. We got 2 or 3 Royal
Yeah.
Focuses in North America, and then poof, gone.
You could still have Royal Focus, it's just not quite the same, and it's also at 16, and it's like different.
It's just not the same. The fact you can't split push early game, that was the only reason to pick it.
We'll see if we still get it. It was played in Europe. Let's get into it. Game 2, Team Freedom up 1-0 in this best of 5 over Even in Death.
Anything else you expect in terms of talents here on new Leo?
I really like the Consume Vitality and then Neil Peasant's build that we saw from Ethereal Angel, but it is not that. Oh, no, it is that. So Consume Vitality, it is the cooldown of Skeletal Swing was increased with this, and this reduces it by 2 seconds. It also gives you some sustainability, some self-heal off of hitting heroes with your Skeletal Swing, and all of level 1 is some sort of self-heal talent for Leoric. New Leoric is really interesting. There's some synergies between certain talents here and there, but it seems like it's going to be a really versatile hero from what I've seen and played with the new Leo.
He's already been, looking at since he's been released and what kind of situations, metas he has been viable in playstyles. Honestly, he has been one of the more diverse, surprisingly enough. So hearing the idea that his talent in rework may make him even more diverse, it makes me rather optimistic towards the future of Leoric here. But
yeah, if we see the Royal Focus that I was mentioning at 16, it'll probably be paired with his Wraithwalk talent at 13, Ominous Wraith, which is really cool because it extends the duration So it's kind of like lingering apparition like you had before, but then also if you hit heroes, it reduces damage, which could come in handy with something like the Genji here for Even in Death.
Laning situation of Team Freedom has been the Medivh matching that up on the top lane while the Stitches holds through mid. This is really interesting choices from them. I like it a lot here. And just looking at how the Leo's playing out with his wave clear, he's going around essentially, you know, playing Royal Focus-esque, but he's using the Medivh and he doesn't have the reset onto that Wraith Walk. He's going to go ahead and throw down a W. When does the drag from Luntano come out? Probably now, after Frozen X hits his first.
Yeah, but you turn around, hit a lot of people with the Skeletal Swing, and that gives a lot of self-healing, but in the end, Cure is denied taking that magical portal trip to freedom. Literally. That was an accidental pun, but I will take it.
I didn't think about it, but now that you put it, that was a good one.
Thank you.
Camp invasion, not going to happen here. Unlike normal Towers of Doom, top camp was the focus for Freedom.
Yeah.
Meaning that they're going to hyper-focus on the top half of the map. Shrines and altars, they just captured. He actually backed all the way.
Zogruk has a hook. Lutano denied portal. Allows Dansky to stop Hal from channeling this altar. Trade on the altars that are safe for location, so it's all about the final altar in this triple phase in the bottom.
Zugrug is under a bit of pressure here. No Medivh shield for a few seconds as you see him use it there. Now it's going to force a tap. It's not like Dansky can get the delay any longer, so Even in Death will be the team outside of a freak circumstance here, picking up the second shrine.
Yeah, it's just far too frightening with the Garrosh and then the follow-up stun of how for Nasmus to try to run in and get a deny of his own.
Can I admit something?
Sure.
The new Into the Fray, mixed with if you end up going the traditional, the unrivaled strength into Indomitable, and then you go Into the Fray. Just the symbols with like the mirroring and the different color. I viewed it as like a guy who just got so angry at the ground, like dead bodies are flying in opposite directions. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's just like, ah, and then like he throws bodies in every way. Like no one can handle him. And it sits right below Garrosh's head. I just think it's probably the best images. So I don't know. I don't even know what team develops our icons for our talents, but it has to be the best synergy across the board in a competitive build.
That's a pretty cool one. Kier gets thrown with a wrecking ball back in, uses the portal, like, oh, thank you. I'll just take this highway to safety again. But Even Death are at least keeping up much better with Team Freedom in this early game, trying to get some picks, using their Garrosh and Uther.
They are keeping up with them much better, but it also feels like Freedom is kind of forfeiting up a lot, and I wonder if that's because they do feel compositionally that they have maybe a disadvantage through the early game, or if more that they just feel like, maybe that Even in Death just is a bit too much to deal with here for the first start of this game.
Yeah, it seems like they're more of their old Team Freedom style strategy of just don't lose, don't make mistakes in the early game. Even in Death are the ones who have the Garrosh, the Uther. It's all about Freedom, making sure that they don't lose anybody to those picks and start putting themselves back behind too far to Even in Death. But Seven's here. This is the time for Master's Touch for Medivh. We're just rounding out 2 heroic abilities where we see if it is going to be the milk carton strategy of Gorge plus the portals.
It's the second time that camp up on top has been timed with the objective for Team Freedom. They're putting a lot of emphasis there. Zugrug got flipped, but he's got Medivh shield and portal. Collusion's going to start the channel. How? Able to get the interrupt there.
All 5 members of both teams are here. Zugrug caught by a drag. Forcible used. Pulled back even farther with Groundbreaker.
No flip yet. Wraith walk out. Cure's going to be going down here unless his heal off his Q is enough.
It's only portal. 4% max health per hero.
I was going to start his channel, and it looks like that will be 4 more shots picked up here for Even in Death.
So where do things...
10?
Yeah. Potential Putrid Bile or the Kidnapper.
Are you okay? Yeah, because he hit his head, didn't he?
No.
I saw him hit it earlier. It's a little awkward, man. We had one guy pass out of the Eastern Clash, and now we got this one bump at his head left and right. What is it with these cameras?
They're fully committed to the job. Whatever it takes to do the job, Ted.
Capture everything.
Concussions. I'm wondering if we're going to March the Black King or Entomb. Entomb has a longer cooldown now. It's not the 50 of before. I think it's 75. Whereas March the Black King has increased damage, increased self-heal, and had its cooldown reduced. So it's the lower cooldown of the two now. Saw both in Europe. But in this case, Cure has been the focus, and he can't seem to get a break between the throws, the drags, all of that. So if he goes to the March the Black King, he will get that unstoppable status. He gets some self-heal from that. So I think that's maybe the direction we're going to go with the Leoric Rook.
I'm ready for some March. Cure's got to be going down here up on top. Frozen X now, 2 versus 1. Homicidal comes in. Nice reset for him. And he's just going to go down.
Nope.
And Dansky.
Just kidding, Medivh. Oh, Homicidal's still there for the chase.
Thank you. Someone.
We will kill him.
Only Genji can make Medivh looking human.
This is a very strange start.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so silent. It's just a strange start
No,
to game one.
I agree with you. I'm sitting here kind of going like, this is not... A lot of these things are not adding up to how I figured this being played out. And it's not even...
It's a head scratcher.
Yeah, like Team Freedom's... It's not even like the Leo pick. It's more how they're playing this. They're giving up a lot. They're taking questionable rotations. It just... Everything turned off after the first game.
It all started with the top camp.
Being focused on twice, it's just...
Weird.
I feel like maybe they had a unique strategy here, and it's just not coming to light yet. And now I feel like they're maybe past that window. I don't know. Hook comes out on the Homicidal.
This is Genji. He does have Gorge. He's gonna Gorge
Good guys.
Garrosh, but the gust was so good.
Dragon Blade used by Homicidal as he's hacking and slashing. Two-man pull. The taunt's there.
Taunt.
Lutano's making the plays. Greymane's first. Dansky denies the reset there, but it doesn't stop Stitches from falling. Now Cure.
Wraith walks back. He's already used March the Black King. He's trying to use his self-healing plus the Force of Will. Portal's still there. Cure barely gets to it in time.
It. He's got it. Oh my, Medivh shield. I don't know what happened, but the fact Homicidal was unable to get that was a sad day. 4 more shots for Even in Death. A full level and a half lead. They picked themselves up the Sapper.
The synergy was fantastic for Even in Death in that fight. And they're potentially going to get another kill here. There's a Force of Will and a Portal again, but even forcing them that before Team Freedom has 13 and they have Quickening. Maybe Zugrug now, into the fray, dodge, cleanse.
So that was just brilliant.
Yes.
Now he's going to survive. Not able to go down to anything. The only way that was going to be a kill is if he moved past for a full value flask. Very smart play here from Even in Death.
Dread, I'm just so amazed. This is Lutano playing the primary warrior of this team. Frozen X is on to Haka. We do still see Battery staying consistent with the range, but the synergy being this good in that fight with the pull from Groundbreaker into the taunt, you had Dragon Blade and the Divine Shield going off. That's impressive for a team that is the 2 different warrior players in 2 games.
Yeah, and this, I mean, it's legitimately a complete swap of what we experienced in game 1. The fact that this is a shutout in favor of Even in Death. And I think the reason I'm struggling is because this on the new patch with the Leo coming online for Team Freedom, I'm sitting here kind of going, is this a bit of a Leo problem, or is this Team Freedom in their play level, right? Because watching their play, it is apparent that they are very much playing differently than they normally would, or without the aggression that they traditionally would display.
Absolutely.
So is that a compositional flaw? And again, just with the youth of the new Leoric, I was just kind of going, well, I'm going to give them credit and just say that they very much understand some kind of power spike I'm missing out on, and I'm constantly looking for it. And then I keep coming up with, it doesn't exist. Like, it's just not there, and this game isn't really going to change unless Team Freedom decides that they are ready to somehow just step. Even then, I don't even know what they do.
We haven't seen the Gorge Portal at all yet. We haven't seen the ley line yet. Maybe something just isn't setting up yet for Freedom to feel like they've had a fight worth using the core, what feels like the core of their comp.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point. Mainly, I would say more the ley line than the Medivh chase track down. I don't know.
But no Gorge, they had a perfect hook set up right around the last altar phase.
And the Gus was brilliant over the last one, so that's a good point. So it's, I think maybe one more, but does Freedom have time for one more? Let's be real here. That's rounding the 15. They're down an entire bell tower here. They're getting out-pressured. I mean, this is Even in Death's game to lose right now. We're yet to even see Freedom get a kill. So it's just, does Even in Death have the control to still force the hand here of Team Freedom for the rest of this game without kind of having a blip, because you know, if Even in Death has a moment where they hesitate here, that Freedom will be looking to try and capitalize.
I keep watching the Masters touch stocks because I feel like that's going to be a good indication of when Team Freedom feels like they can be a little more aggressive too. We're still at 18.
That's pretty slow, honestly. That's really slow.
Especially for a world-class Medivh player like Dansky.
Yeah, that is not a very common characteristic for him, but again, kind of the passiveness of a laning phase. I feel like that was partly because they were willing to leave him up and towards the laning 1v1 up and top with that interesting transition they made out. Indomitable used there for Even in Death.
Having both Indomitable and Hand of Protection and then Gust, Freedom's having a difficult time trying to get these picks. Though we were talking about Even in Death wanting, but of course Freedom wants them too with their Stitches Medivh comp. And now it's the triple temple phase, the 5th altar phase, and Even in Death with a 16 advantage. Team Freedom really can't afford to give up any more altars, but they may have to give up the double just to make sure that they can get on an even tier for fighting.
Unless Zugrug and Dansky have something to say about this with the Hook Gorge combination, that is going to be a double altar here for Even in Death, setting the core of Team Freedom down to 11. 11 HP. I mean, Even in Death is currently shutting out Team Freedom. I'm still struggling to survive. Like, we're 12 minutes in and I still don't believe it.
Yeah, we started out, we're like, oh, they just have to get to 10. Now it's like, oh, they just have to get to now. Now is that time.
Yeah,
it's
we're
time
there
for the thing.
And then oftentimes, alls I feel like when I'm like, okay, now's the time. It's more just Core's receiving pressure on and he's Wraith walking away. And then you're like, well, that fight can't happen now. So when's it going to happen? Normally, what you used to say is like, well, at least there's going to be an Entomb dropped while he's dead, and he can come back, and he's still being effective. I mean, you can't march to the Black King while you're dead. That would be pretty neat, though. Please, Blizzard, don't do that.
It'd be terrifying.
I take it back. I regret everything.
We are sitting at a level lead in favor of Even in Death with 8 kills to 0, but the core health is the true tale of this game. 29 to 11.
Nice pull.
Pull, flip.
Cleanse
is too late from Collusion. They still have the Force of Will. Dahak is coming in.
We need a ley line.
Terrible positioning. So is the Stitches. He gets dragged away from the portal and the Gust.
Ancestral goes off. Ley line is used, but March of Black King
at the same time.
Miscommunication is real. Gorge used onto Garrosh. Homicidal goes in. He's looking for resets. The portal. Everybody goes through. Go for the throats drop. Genji's not afraid. He moves up, drops himself the reflect, and nobody dies. Gilly, Freedom literally can't win fights.
There's the hook with the Swift Strike. There was a lot of things that were not used in.
You're right with the stack between the March of the Black King and having Leyline Seal, but still, I don't know if they compositionally can win a fight.
Yeah,
it's looking bad.
It seems like Even in Death they have figured out how to make sure that Stitches Medivh, whoever gets picked, just doesn't die. If it's Garrosh, he has 1,000,000 armor even when he gets low, and he has Indomitable to run back. There's no hard stuns. You've only got Collusion as the slow with his totem, and he does have Earth Grasp, so you have that additional slow.
Oh my gosh, flight from Falstad. Battery a bit too far out.
No, Gust was used.
Fried chicken for dinner tonight. Freedom is feeling good now, knowing that there's no Falstad.
Hook pulls back.
Gets the Indomitable.
They finally bring down Garrosh.
And Gilly, we said that there is no moment that Even in Death could hesitate, stop with this snowball throughout this game, and it looks like Team Freedom, in fact, has found the moment. Now, we've got to ask ourselves, is Team Freedom a team controlled and experienced enough to just make this game not even look like it was, unwinnable for the first 15 minutes. They manipulate the map, pressure it out to where Even in Death is the one who has to respond to them, because there is still a bit of experience, but 10 core HP that separate these teams.
They need to take this advantage and never look back. Team Freedom starts with bottom bell tower and the sappers stolen from Even in Death side of the battleground. There's another sapper camp behind this that Rhaegar is going to go to, and one more shot is used. Or a few more. How many shots was that? I didn't see. It seemed like just one, but either way, the shots were escorted, and there's going to be 3 more behind this.
Yeah, it was only one.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You're good.
Sometimes
I get it.
The brain plays tricks on you, you know? It's tricksy. I thought a Falstad was flying earlier. It happened to be Ragdoll Arthas.
Life of a commentator here.
Still cool.
I wish I could say, you know, I haven't had that kind of stuff, but sometimes I'll look at it and be like, I just saw a spell that doesn't even exist in this game.
Yeah, well, he flew by so fast. I was like, there's no way that's not epic Mount Falstad just speeding in. And it wasn't.
Arthur's soaring on by, just flapping his wings like, look at me, I'm a beautiful, beautiful
butterfly
lich flying.
What are you going with that?
Well, I mean, it was supposed to be a beautiful butterfly, yeah, but he hadn't gotten to that point, you know, he's taken off. Flight did take off. I thought that was behind him for a moment there.
Here's the Gorge. Leyline Seal, immediate gust afterward, and again, it's Lutano who just tosses the Stitches right on top of the rest of Even in Death.
But there's no Leo. That whole fight taken. No Leo for Team Freedom, and they're still willing to take that trade. Dragon Blade, adaptation.
Nice hook, threading the needle.
Oh, they needed that. That was...
Nasmus.
I mean, that was the only reason they have a chance taking this next fight. They would have been down a huge heroic. The race to 20 would have been close. Once again, Team Freedom gets what seems like their last chance working out once more. But when you're as good as Team Freedom, is it really just working out? You know, is it the last chance is a better question here. They are just performing on another level here over Even in Death.
You can't always get what you want, but when you've got Zugrug on Stitches, you get what you need. And they needed that kill. Still 25 seconds left until Dahaka, which means Leoric has plenty of time.
Good wear.
Used.
Dainsky. Stunned, gusted.
In, and he was taunted.
Yeah, no opportunity to control his heroes. Homicidal goes in with a Dragon Blade. They're diving the fort. They don't care. Battery gets the heals. Homicidal moving out. Ancestral does go through. No resets available here. Hook is up. Nobody's going to land there because Falstad was just dead before it even got to the point.
The damage that Team Freedom's putting out, even losing Dainsky, but I loved the play from Even in Death going in, gusting him while he was taunted. There was no way for Dainsky to leave. Medivh fans at home, don't worry, Master Touch was done quite a while ago, so that's safe. But Team Freedom is still trying to not let off the gas pedal by taking the sappers in the bottom lane.
I very much agree with you in terms of what we just saw at Even in Death in that play up on top. That was maybe the best play they've made in HGC North America, in my opinion. Even though it was a losing one and one that maybe didn't look that good at first, that was very uncharacteristic of them. Diving that disadvantage, but knowing that that is legitimately maybe the only way they save this game. Zugrug brought in, I believe we found ourselves a Garrosh. Indomitables used.
Yeah, I got really scared that everyone was going to collapse on him and he was going to use Warlord's Challenge. Cure, March the Black King through the center of that, slows from Pulverize. And you can see there's a death march now that Cure has hit 20. Leyline Seal goes out.
Medivh's cheats.
Catches 2.
Portal used. Freedom has the opportunity to go through. They're going to go through and save Cure. Another Wraith Walk, another hook. Homicidal, he's out. 4 more seconds. Not even, actually. We have ourselves that bottom altar up. How many shots made it in? 2 here through these sappers. Another set of sappers will be escorted. 45 seconds without 2 members of Even in Death here. And with these shots up on bottom, what do we see?
12 to 11 for more.
It's got to be.
Sets it at 8. I can math.
I don't know if they get those 3 on bottom. That's why I didn't want to call it 8 for sure. But you did cast them out. I just didn't think
it was 8 from the temple. Or the
oh,
altar.
yeah, sorry, the 5 here that they would get through bottom. I just didn't know if Even in Death would move down to defend it. But Even in Death, if you don't defend that, you're already on boss. And I get to cheat and see the map. You aren't on boss. So 3 sappers go in.
The boss will be started by Cure. It's not enough to end the game, but it would set the core to a measly 1 health for Even in Death. Nobody up. Falstad does have Gust, but Dahaka is already down at the bottom. They're giving up the boss. They will give up almost everything, but not the game.
And then the members of Team Freedom immediately all take the double portal. Look at, they're already down on bottom. They don't even realize this. Oh my, Medivh. Medivh cheats. This is disgusting.
Here we go, Leyline Seal. Homicidal comes in for 1 last Dragon Blade. He's trying to take down Nasmus.
Cure, March goes through, ends up hitting a few. Not as many as maybe he'd like. He's gonna Wraith Walk away. Homicidal trying to get value out of that 20 Dragon Blade. No hook landing for Zugrug.
Love how Kira's using that Ominous Wraith to reduce the damage of Even in Death. Tano is so close to being dead. He's found a Dansky!
But the Ancestrals there, portals up now. Freedom and friends are going to be fine. 19 seconds before the double shrine spawn up on top. Even if this fight goes for Even in Death, Team Freedom, or even for Team Freedom, Even in Death's got to find a way to stop these top 2 altars. If they lose even one, it will be the game. And Gilly down a Falstad. I just don't see a world where they can make that happen. 24 seconds before Leyline Seal is there. Medivh can do it on his own if they exist in 20 seconds.
Dahaka stalks in. Even in Death have been able to make it this far. They drag Kira, who turns around with the March of the Black King. This is going to death march onto a few.
Already find themselves a kill there. Wow, a lot of pressure. Homicidal. He's going to be ripped through. Frozen X comes out of the ground, and he's going to be, you know, embraced with a nice mace. The channel started. I respect the effort, Battery. The channel started. I'm going to keep saying it until it started.
The channel is
now started. And the game is over. Team Freedom takes game 2. We'll take a lead 2-0. But more importantly, we got to give credit to Even in Death holding their own.
Yeah.
But then Team Freedom still showing that they are just total. You mess up even once, you just goof for half a second, they're willing to punish and never let go. And that's what a great team does. It's very impressive for them.
Yeah, awesome job from Even in Death in the early game, but similarly, awesome job from Freedom in the late game. And that was a conversation that you and I just had over the last series, was a team, you could be really good in the early game, but it's your ability to make a comeback happen, know the risks that you have to take and be willing to take them all, fully commit to that. Team Freedom did that to retake that game too and put it at a 2-0 for them. But I was really impressed with the synergy of Even in Death. I thought it was hilarious when you were like, this is disgusting with the Medivh. I was trying so hard not to giggle, but man, it was
disgusting.
It was pretty good.
It's so gross. The second downside. They went from boss to bottom lane in literally 4 seconds.
And that's why I was laughing.
It's a medevac. It's a literal medevac.
That's why you banned Dansky's Medivh.
That's why you banned Medivh.
Let's go to a break. We'll come back. We'll see if there's a Medivh ban in game 3.